5 minutes left on this.
The Alaska State Council of the Arts died today.
Yep,
Alaska State Council of the Earth.
no more money.
Like, Mississippi has one and we don't.
Every other state has it now.
Alabama.
Council of
Has
the
one.
Arts, what do they do? Is that like the UAA division of art or just like?
Okay.
No,
So
they're
let's pick up where we left off, I think. The bookmarker on page 392. So we're looking at section 3, page 393. We had done one, I think. So 2 doesn't have the answers for us. And what we're supposed to do is fill in the lines and the proof that we, or the inference rules that we're using. So let me put 2 up here. Premise 1, you have not S. Premise 2, we have if Q, then S or R. Premise 3, we have Q. And the conclusion is R.
What page is this?
I'm on page 393. Section 3,
Yeah.
we have the same addition.
Oh, okay, I was missing the tilde, or tilde. How do you say that, tilde?
Tilde, not.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the actual argument, but what they go on to tell us is that your first step after the argument, step 4, will be S or R. And our job in getting S or R, which I can see comes right from here, be to say what inference rule can we use on these in order to get this from up here. And I can see it's right here, S or R. And so if Q, then this. And so modus ponens would give me this. And all I needed was the antecedent of this conditional statement here, right? And I have it. And so I can use lines 2 and 3, modus ponens, and that's what would have gotten me this, right? Then they say line 5, we can get the conclusion R. And where would that come from? Well, I have S or R from that last step, and I have not S, that with disjunctive syllogism, lines 1 and 4 give me that. So do you see how these rules of inference can be used to justify additional steps that lead me to the conclusion of my argument, right? Do another one. This is 3. Premise 1 says S and M, then Q. Premise 2, Q or R, then S and M. 3, if P, then Q or R. And my conclusion is if P, then Q. So that's my argument. The conclusion is if P, then Q. how would I get that out of here? Well, they suggest step 4, get if P, then S and M. Where would they have gotten that? Here's if P, then Q or R, aha, but if Q or R, then S and M. So hypothetical syllogism, lines 2 and 3. Give me this new conditional statement. And I can see where they're going with this, because if S and M, then Q, and I have if P, then, so obviously hypothetical syllogism will give me if P, then Q. And it's hypothetical syllogism again on 4 and 1 and 4, right? One more from the next page. You guys seeing this? Or is it hitting you like a ton of bricks?
It's slowly starting to come together for me. That one was better than that one.
The only thing I can think of is to just keep doing them in the hopes that eventually you'll start catching on. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do problem 6 on page 394. If S, then Q. It's not the case that R. It is the case that S. If Q, then R or P. And the conclusion is P. So how do we get P out of this argument? Well, I can see it's right here. But what step do they need first to get going here? And their suggestion is, if S, then R or P. So how did they get that? Well, if S, then Q, if Q, then R or P. Hypothetical syllogism connects these, if S, then R or P. So hypothetical syllogism, lines 1 and 4. The next step is step 6, and they say we should get R or P from this. So where do you get R or P? Well, notice we have S, and we have if S, then R or P. So modus ponens, right? If P, then Q, P before Q, modus ponens. In this case, it's if S, then R or P. But I do have S, so I have R or P. How did I get it? I use modus ponens on lines 3 and 5. And then they say the last step will be P. How did we get that? Well, we have R or P, but I have not the case R. Disjunctive syllogism tells me that if I have R or P, but it's not the case that I have R, then I do have P. Disjunctive syllogism 2 and 6. Okay. The next section of exercises here, section 4, step steps the difficulty level up a little bit more, because now, the examples contain more than one step, which you have to provide the missing derivation. In each case, the implication rule and the lines used for the derivation are provided. So they're going to give us the steps, etc., but they're not giving us what actually is derived from it. So, for example, problem 1, they go like this: if Q then R. Premise 2, if P then Q. Premise 3, not the case R, therefore not the case P. And they say, well, what you should be able to get here comes from 1 and 2 hypothetical syllogism. So 1 and 2 hypothetical syllogism, if P then Q, if Q then R. So I would have if P then R, if P then R. That's what I would get with hypothetical syllogism, right? And the next step, they tell us we should get using modus tollens, right? And it should come from 3 and 4. Using modus tollens. So 3 and 4, modus tollens. Well,